Picture this moment, because I guarantee it's happened to at least half the people watching this video. You walk into your boss's office for your annual review. You're nervous. You've worked hard this year. You've put in the hours. You've delivered results. And then your boss says the words you've been waiting for. We're giving you a raise, $10,000 more per year. Your heart jumps. You feel validated. You feel seen. You immediately start doing the math in your head. That's $833 more per month. You could finally upgrade your car. You could move to that nicer apartment. You could take that vacation you've been putting off. You walk out of that office feeling like you just leveled up in life. Fast forward 6 months. You check your bank account and something doesn't add up. You're making more money than you ever have before, but somehow you have less saved than you did last year. Your credit card balance is higher. You're still living paycheck to paycheck. And you're more stressed about money than you were before the raise? What the hell happened? You just experienced what I call the invisible income trap, and it's one of the most dangerous psychological phenomena in personal finance. Because unlike other financial mistakes where you can see the damage, this one disguises itself as progress. You think you're winning, but you're actually falling behind. And the worst part? The system is designed to make this happen. My name is Bob, and I spend way too much time thinking about why smart people make predictable financial mistakes. If you've ever gotten a raise and wondered where the money went, or if you feel like no matter how much you earn, you're always broke by the end of the month, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today we're going to break down the hidden mechanics of why more income doesn't always mean more wealth. And I'm going to show you how to keep your next raise from evaporating into thin air. Here's what happens the moment you get that raise, and nobody warns you about this. Your brain doesn't process your new salary as $60,000 per year. It processes it as, I make $10,000 more than I used to. And that $10,000 feels like free money. It feels like bonus cash that you can spend guilt-free because you earned it. You worked hard for it. You deserve it. So you start making small adjustments to your lifestyle. Nothing crazy, just little upgrades that reflect your new status. You've been driving a 10-year-old Honda Civic. It runs fine, but it's not exactly impressive. Now that you're making more, maybe it's time to lease something nicer. Just a mid-tier sedan. The payment is only $400 a month. You can afford that now. You've been living in a decent apartment, but it's small, and the neighborhood is fine, but not great. Now that you're making more, you start looking at places that are just a little nicer. You find one that's $300 more per month. It has a better kitchen, a gym in the building, and you won't be embarrassed when people visit. That feels reasonable. You've been packing lunch for work because it saves money, but now that you're making more, you start going out with coworkers a few times a week. It's only $15 a meal, and honestly, it's good for your career to be social. Networking, right? You've been wearing the same business casual clothes for 3 years, but now that you're in a higher position, you feel like you should look the part, so you buy a few new outfits. Nothing designer, just better quality. Maybe $800 total. That's an investment in your career. You've been putting off a vacation for 2 years because money was tight, but now that you're making more, you book that trip to Mexico you've always wanted. It's $3,000, but you deserve it. You worked hard for this raise. None of these decisions in isolation feel reckless. They all feel justified. They all feel like reasonable upgrades for someone who just got a $10,000 raise. But let's do the actual math on what just happened. The car payment, $400 a month, is $4,800 a year. The nicer apartment, $300 more per month, is $3,600 a year. Eating out at work 3 times a week, $15 times 3 is $45 per week. Over a year, that's $2,340. The new wardrobe, $800 one-time cost. The vacation, $3,000 one-time cost. You just spent $14,540 on lifestyle upgrades triggered by a $10,000 raise. But wait, it gets worse, because you didn't actually get $10,000. You got a $10,000 salary increase. That money has to go through the IRS first. Let's talk about what actually hits your bank account. You're making $50,000 a year, and you get bumped to $60,000. That's a $10,000 gross increase, but you don't get to keep $10,000. First, federal income tax. At $50,000, you're in the 22% tax bracket. That $10,000 raise gets taxed at 22%, so $2,200 goes to the IRS right off the top. Then there's Social Security tax, which is 6.2%. That's another $620. Medicare tax is 1.45%. That's $145. If you live in a state with income tax, let's say 5%, that's another $500. Add it all up, and you're losing about $3,265 to taxes. Your actual take-home increase isn't $10,000. It's $6,535. That's $544 per month. But remember the lifestyle upgrades you made? Those weren't based on your net income. They were based on the feeling of getting $10,000 more. You spent $14,540 on a raise that only gave you $6,535 after taxes. You are now $7,195 poorer per year than you were before the raise. Bob learned this the hard way when he got his first big promotion. He thought he was moving up in the world. But 6 months later, he was more broke than ever. And he couldn't figure out why. The problem wasn't the raise. The problem was that his lifestyle inflated faster than his income. This is what we call lifestyle creep. And it's one of the most insidious forces in personal finance because it feels so rational in the moment. You're not buying a Ferrari. You're not going on shopping sprees. You're just making small, reasonable upgrades that reflect your new income level. But those small upgrades compound into a massive drag on your wealth. And here's the thing that makes this trap so effective. Society actively encourages it. When you get a raise, what do your friends say? Congratulations. You should celebrate. Treat yourself. You earned it. When you get promoted, what do your coworkers notice? They notice if you're still driving the same old car. They notice if you're still living in the same apartment. They notice if you're still packing lunch while everyone else goes out. There's a social pressure to signal your success, to prove that the raise was real, to show that you're moving up in the world. And the only way to signal that is through consumption. This is where the trap tightens, because the people around you at your new income level are also trapped. They're making $60,000 and they're spending $65,000 to look like they're making $80,000. And when you start hanging around them, you feel pressure to keep up. You see their cars, their apartments, their vacations, their clothes, and your brain starts telling you, this is what people at my level do. This is what success looks like. But what you don't see is their credit card debt. You don't see their empty retirement accounts. You don't see the financial panic they feel every time an unexpected expense pops up. You're comparing your reality to their carefully curated appearance, and you're destroying your financial future to keep up with people who are also broke. Let's talk about the darker side of this, the part that most people don't realize until it's too late. The invisible income trap doesn't just make you poorer, it locks you in place. When you get that raise and immediately inflate your lifestyle to match, you become dependent on that new income level. You can't go back. You signed a lease on the nicer apartment, you're locked into the car payment, your friends expect you to join them at the $50 brunch spots. If you lose your job, or if you want to take a pay cut to pursue something you actually care about, you can't. Because your expenses are now $60,000, and you've trapped yourself in a lifestyle that requires you to keep earning that much just to break even. You traded your freedom for the appearance of success, and here's what really keeps Bob up at night. This dynamic gets worse as you earn more. Every time you get a raise, the trap resets at a higher level. You go from $60,000 to $80,000. Now you're thinking, at $80,000, I should really buy a house. People at my level own homes. So you stretch to buy a $400,000 house with a $12,500 monthly mortgage. You go from $80,000 to $100,000. Now you're thinking, at $100,000, I should really be saving for my kids' college. So you start contributing to a 529 plan, which is great, except you're not contributing to your own retirement because your house payment ate all your extra cash. You go from $100,000 to $120,000. Now you're thinking, at $120,000, my kids should be in private school. That's what successful parents do. So you add a $15,000 annual tuition bill. At every level, you find new ways to spend the raise before you've even received it. And the finish line keeps moving. You're running faster and faster on a treadmill that keeps speeding up. The American dream sold you the idea that earning more means living better. But the trap is that living better costs more than earning more gives you. So how do you escape this? How do you actually benefit from a raise instead of letting it evaporate? First, you have to understand the math before the money hits your account. When you get a $10,000 raise, calculate your actual after-tax increase. Use a paycheck calculator. Figure out the real number. In our example, it was $6,535. Now, before you do anything else, before you tell anyone, before you start browsing apartments or car dealerships, you lock in that money. If your raise gives you an extra $544 per month after taxes, you immediately increase your 401k contribution by $544. Or you set up an automatic transfer to a separate investment account for $544 on payday. You lock it away before your brain can find a use for it. This strategy is called the invisible raise. You never let the money touch your checking account. You never give your brain a chance to feel richer. As far as your lifestyle is concerned, the raise never happened. But your net worth? Your net worth starts compounding in the background. Every year, you're investing an extra $6,535. Over 30 years at 8% annual returns, that single raise turns into $740,000. That's the real value of the raise, not the nicer car, not the bigger apartment. $740,000 in future wealth. But most people will trade that $740,000 for a car payment and an upgraded lifestyle that makes them feel successful for a few months before the novelty wears off and they're back to feeling broke. The psychological shift that changes everything. You have to stop viewing a raise as more money to spend and start viewing it as more money to escape. Every dollar you save from a raise is a dollar that buys your future freedom. Every dollar you spend from a raise is a dollar that extends your sentence in a job you might not even like. The people who figure this out early build wealth fast. The people who don't spend 40 years earning more and more while feeling poorer and poorer. Bob's rule is simple. Live on your old salary for at least 1 year after every raise. Let your brain adjust. Let the novelty wear off. Then, and only then, do you make intentional decisions about whether to inflate your lifestyle. And when you do inflate strategically. Spend money on things that genuinely improve your quality of life in measurable ways. Don't spend money on things that just signal success to people you don't even care about. A $300 gym membership that you actually use might be worth it. A $300 car payment to impress your coworkers is not. A $200 monthly budget for experiences with people you love might be worth it. A $200 subscription box of stuff you don't need is not. The question you have to ask yourself with every post-raise purchase is this: am I buying freedom or am I buying a longer prison sentence? Let me leave you with this. There are two types of people in the world. People who earn more and spend more, and people who earn more and save more. The first group looks successful. They have the nice cars, the nice clothes, the nice apartments. But when you look at their bank accounts, they're broke. They're one layoff away from disaster. They're trapped in jobs they hate because they can't afford to leave. The second group looks average. They drive older cars. They live in modest homes. They don't flash their wealth. But when you look at their net worth, they're quietly building empires. And in 10 or 15 years, they're going to retire early while the first group is still grinding, still stressed, still broke, despite their six-figure salaries. The invisible income trap is optional, but escaping it requires you to do something that feels deeply unnatural in our culture. You have to get a raise and act like you didn't. You have to let your coworkers and friends keep up appearances while you build real wealth in silence. You have to be okay with driving the older car, living in the smaller place, and packing your lunch while everyone around you is financing a lifestyle they can't afford. It's uncomfortable. It's socially awkward, but it's the only way out. Your next raise is either going to make you wealthier or poorer. The number on your paycheck doesn't determine which one happens. Your behavior does. If this video made you realize you've been trapped on the income treadmill, do me a favor and share this with someone who just got a raise. They need to see this before they sign that new lease. And hit that subscribe button, because we're going to keep breaking down the financial traps that nobody talks about until it's too late. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.